Just go. So I'm Marcus from Moisture Master New Zealand, and we've been involved with the Super Home movement almost since inception, or for at least a number of years now. We're a family-run ventilation business nationwide, and we've been in business for around 25 years, and with head office in Dunedin. I've been involved with Moisture Master for coming up 3 years, and it's really uncovered a real passion for building better, more high quality homes, which is something we desperately need in all of New Zealand. So Moisture Master provides a range of ventilation systems from your most basic heat recovery right through to your high-end Passive House certified high efficiency heat recovery systems. We have a number of partnerships with European suppliers and manufacturers, and exclusive supply deals to be able to bring some of those systems in at really efficient prices to benefit New Zealand homes. Sure. So as I believe that most of New Zealand are becoming more and more aware that our homes aren't up to standard, part of improving our homes is sealing them up, and that improves thermal efficiency, and a big part of that is air tightness. So as soon as we start to add high quality insulation and look at air tightness in homes, we start to trap moisture, and so our heat recovery systems are essential for making sure that moisture is not trapped in the home, whilst at the same time recovering the warmth from within the home and putting that through into the incoming air supply so that fresh air is tempered with the outgoing air. Okay, so as in New Zealand, we are starting to realise that our homes aren't as good quality as they should be. We're starting to increase the thermal performance of those by adding insulation, better quality windows, and ultimately air tightness, which ends up sealing up the home. Now, when we seal up a home, that can trap moisture. And in New Zealand, we seem to understand that condensation is just a normal part of our homes. It doesn't have to be that way. And as soon as you have condensation in your home, that brings in mould, which then affects the health of anyone living in the home. So our heat recovery systems will remove that moisture, whilst utilising a heat exchange system to take the warmth out of the outgoing air, transferring that across into the incoming air, which tempers that incoming air, meaning that we can recover that heat and pushing out as fresh pre-warmed air to the home. So the Super Home movement are looking at improving the base better best model. With the base better best, it's important not to get stuck on the one specific space. The key to it really is to understand that we can kind of pick and choose. There are some fundamentals that are really critical, but we can pick and choose between things like budget, what works specifically for a specific home. So there's various spaces where we can become more affordable if that's the case, or we can maybe drop for a base target on one criteria, but then aim for a best criteria on a different criteria. Now, specifically for ventilation, base is a basic heat recovery system. So we really need continuous balanced ventilation across the home. Now, that doesn't need to be a high-end Passive House certified model. There are models in the market, and Moisture Master provide some of these that are good quality, have good quality heat exchangers, and provide good quality air and ventilation throughout the home. So that would be your base level. You can go up to better or best depending on things like the brand, how it's commissioned, how it's designed. And then there's various add-ons. Some are bypasses, for instance, that can be added on or removed if depending on a specific home. So there are ways to build a super home without it costing the earth, but there are some fundamentals that we must hit, and that means that the building in the long run continues to be super. So cooling within the industry is something that everyone's starting to struggle with, but we're really trying to get a good handle on at the moment. I guess historically it's been something that hasn't been built into homes. We've always said we need warm, dry homes, and that's great. But I think as we go forward, cooling is going to be more of an issue. There's various ways to do that, but cooling generally works best if it's taken a more holistic approach. So things like the design, make sure your shading's correct up front, the orientation of the building, things like pergolas, as Bob talks about, eyebrows over windows is a great way to do it. Again, all cost-efficient things, none of it is rocket science. But then you add in things like your ventilation, your better quality insulation and thermal properties, which also help to keep the property cool. We rationalise glazing, so we can have less glazing on that north face. Still, you want the light in and still have enjoy the sunshine, but we don't want it to be overheating. And then things like heat pumps, air conditioning, fan coils. There's a few other options mechanically to assist in that cooling, but it's more a holistic approach that we need to take when it comes to cooling. I had this conversation earlier today when we were saying when it comes to higher quality home building, whether it's ventilation, whether it's underfloor heating with Warmth NZ, whatever it is, it's actually selling the concept of the super home basically, or the higher performing home. And it's not about selling just ventilation, it's not about selling underfloor heating, it's about saying as we build better, they all become part of a system that means that they're all integral to each other. And once we, as an industry, understand that, then that means that basically we should be able to build better quality, healthier homes generally. Renovations can be tricky, but that doesn't mean that they can't be done. We're currently doing a few projects with renovations where we're doing really deep renovations. But look, in saying that, when it comes to ventilation, I believe that all homes need proper ventilation. Depending on the home, depending on the age, would be the system that we would specify. It just means that as a home gets more sealed, more thermally efficient, the recovery of the system works better. The heat recovery of the system works better. So it's not about should we or shouldn't we do it. It's more about what system works best for our home and how best can we get that into our home. There's obviously some homes have different characteristics and roof spaces and not roof spaces and spaces for ducting, etc. But the reality is that most of our homes have a lack of ventilation, and heat recovery ventilation is the best way to deal with that. Yeah, we would probably be doing some in the region of maybe 10% renos, but in saying that, we do a lot of existing homes, so they may not be doing a full renovation, but they are putting ventilation into their existing property. And I mean, we recommend heat recovery specifically from anywhere around the year 2000, and it can vastly improve the quality of the air within the home. But heat recovery ventilation can work well to ventilate a home of any age. Yeah, so I mean the reality is that around the year 2000 was when we started sealing homes with more insulation. Still not at a super home level, but we started to put more insulation in the walls. We started to have better quality windows. Double glazing came in around about that time as well. The older homes, typically people lean towards positive pressure ventilation. Again, it depends on the home, but if you're doing a proper, decent renovation and you're looking at things like levels of insulation, air tightness, using Intello wraps, then heat recovery ventilation becomes a must at that point. It's something that we do have, so you can just give us a call and we can sort that out. Yeah, mould is something that I think is really underrated when it comes to being an issue in New Zealand homes. Brands have lots of data out, and I think there's the Respiratory Foundation of New Zealand, or Asthma Foundation New Zealand, sorry. They have lots of information out about moisture in homes and how it causes mould and what it does to our health. something that can be solved. It's not actually an issue. The reality is now as house prices increase, we're building smaller townhouses, and without ventilation, that air becomes stale and moisture laden more quickly, and then causes condensation. And we've been sold this misnomer that you get double glazing and it deals with your condensation. And look, you get less condensation on your windows, but it doesn't mean that the moisture is not in your home. The reality is that it'll find the coldest spot in your home to condensate on, and then turn into mould eventually. Mould with children is also another big issue. We actually recently put a system in where their son had 7 or 8 trips to the hospital in the previous winter, and the following winter, I think she said they went twice. So it wasn't. We're not saying we're perfect and everything. It was an older home, and but it was significantly better. So the super home tours are a great way to really see these homes in action. And not only that, but you get to network with some of the professionals who are designing, building, installing, working on these tours just day in, day out. Working on these homes day in, day out. You get to see a variety, whether it's high-end stuff, lower, bit of value type houses, and then renos as well. But the key is you'll start to pick up on each of the homes that there's fundamentals that everyone is doing to move towards these super homes. And once you kind of get those 4 or 5 fundamentals in place, then you're away sailing. And there's plenty of people who have gone and built super homes without necessarily bringing in any of the super people. It's more about the information and being able to follow those fundamental base, better, best philosophies So it's more about following those fundamental base, better, best strategies, and then being able to then end up with a product that is warm, dry, healthy, and has low energy input.
Love it.
But look, just generally speaking, a heat recovery system will set you back in the region of, we're talking kind of 7,000 to 10,000 for a more basic system, and then for a fully Passive House certified system with all the bells and whistles, you're talking at around in that region between kind of 9,000 to 15,000. Now there's plenty of systems on the market. Some more expensive than others, some offer slightly various things, but generally they're doing the same job. When it comes to running costs, so most systems all systems have two fans. They generally run on somewhere between 20 to 35 watts each. So you've got kind of about 40 to 70 watts. So 100 watt light bulb is what the running costs are. Now there's little various things that can add to that. If there's inline heaters or bits and pieces that can add to the power. But generally speaking, I would say that the recovery of heat that you're getting actually over time actually pays that back. With a super home, you have to remember that you're building a forever home. This isn't a home that you're going to... And New Zealanders have this terrible thing where we buy a home and 5 years later we're moving to the next one. I don't know why, but we just tend to do it. We like the process for some reason. But if you're building a super home or a high performance home, yes, it costs a little bit more up front. I don't think anyone is going to tell you that it's not going to cost any more than the standard off the shelf spec build. But it's an investment for the next 15, 20, 25 years. And if that's the type of home that you're going to be in for the next 15 or 20 years, then that investment pays itself back, not only in things like heat recovery, but in your health, and then in less energy use as well. So there's lots of benefits to building those homes that you're going to be in for a long period of time as super homes. And that's really how we should be looking at our property market, rather than this kind of flipping and moving on business. But look, the certification guide from Superhome Movement is a really important little document, and it just gives us something to target. It means that we've thought about all of the fundamental principles of what goes into building better, higher quality homes. We seem to have this idea that our building code is going to keep us warm at night, and the reality is that that doesn't actually happen. And even if it does keep us warm, it's not going to keep us healthy, that's for sure. So so the certification guide, base, better, best, has been put together to make sure that each principle has been looked at and then decided on depending on the specific need of that person, of the budget of that person, and ultimately of the design of the home.
Perfect.
So with the Superhome certification guide and with the principles that Superhome push, generally speaking, you need to just look at that, all of those things up front, early on. If you're working with a designer that's familiar with the principles or with higher performance homes, then they'll be aware and they'll be pushing it early on. But if you're working with someone who hasn't done it before, then that's fine. We've got all the information's there, but you really just need to get it in and get it designed up front. It's a lot more difficult and a lot more costly to try and put a ventilation system in down the line if it hasn't been designed for it, whether it's ventilation or any of the fundamentals of the home. So specifically services though, get them designed in up front. We can help with that, giving clearances and sizes of things for your designer. But yeah, up front is critical. I think people miss the point of it a wee bit.
Okay.
Like generally speaking, Superhome is a network. It's a network of passionate professionals trying to better their industry and build better quality, healthier homes for New Zealanders. The reality is we have all the information here. We have the personnel here, and it's available for free. So that's really the biggest benefit of becoming a Superhome member. You get linked in with professionals, you get linked in with other homeowners who are all on the same journey. And if you are interested in building a better quality, healthier home, then Superhome is a really good place to start.